start the machine, and I'm using an open toe foot and 80 weight thread in the top and the bobbin and a size 65 needle and a straight stitch set on, well actually no, it's not a straight stitch. Let me switch that to a zigzag, and I want it to be a 2.0 stitch length and a 1.5 stitch width. Now that's going to vary on different machines. Test it out on your machine. You simply want to have enough of a zigzag to cover the width of the header of the lace. So it's going to be a tiny zigzag. And also it's important, if you're just now joining us, to go to SewBeautifulMag.com and look at the introduction video, and there is where we're discussing all the different types of feet, the types of thread, the types of needles, and the products you would use in heirloom sewing. So that would be helpful. Alright, first we're going to start over here on the edge, and I'm putting my needle on one side of the header, and we're just going to stitch carefully around that window. And as you see, my zigzag is only wide enough to cover the header of my lace. And I'm not worried about the fabric behind it. I'm just stitching, I'm watching the lace edge, and I'm stitching all around that. I'm going to stop here and pivot in this corner. Okay. Going across the bottom here. I'm going to move this pin, it's bothering me. And I'm going to move that pin because I don't need it. Okay, I'm going to needle down. Of course, we have needle down position on this machine, which is a great thing to have. Lined up. So this side. It really helps to have that glue basting. It's really holding everything in place. Okay. Now we've stitched all inside our window, and we'll go back to the board and I'll tell you how to cut away from behind and to finish the back. We have stitched our window in place. This is the right side. Whoops, sorry about that. This is the right side, and this is the wrong side. So you flip it over and you trim about a 1/2 inch to 3/8 inch away from the stitching line. And I've made little clips in here because this is curved edge, and I'm going to press that in on itself, and I needed that to release. Now the reason this is important is because if we just cut the fabric off right next to the edge, and some people do that, eventually the fabric can fray. It's just a woven fabric, and pull away from the stitching. This is called the reinforced method. So we're going to reinforce this stitching, and we're going to stitch around here one more time, just like when we did lace shaping, and then we'll cut off the excess after we stitch it. Now this is what it looks like right after you stitch it. Here's your block of fabric. So I'm going to cut here and cut here and cut here, and then I'm going to cut the corners off here. You see where I've cut this corner straight off? And right here and right here. And then I'm going to clip just like I did over here, and I'm going to press all that to the inside. So let me press this, and we'll take it back to the machine. I'll stitch it, and I'll come back to the board and show you what I've done. We have stitched around this edge, all around here, and we've done it. This is the right side, so we've set in our windows. These are the little double needle pin tucks that from that pin tuck strip that we made. Now this is the wrong side, and on this side, as you can see, we pressed these edges back. We stitched on top of the edge again, catching that the little folded edge of that seam, and we then trimmed away right next to the stitching to clean that up. So that's what it's going to look like from the back side. So what you'll want to do is just take some, I'm using these duckbill scissors that are very safe for cutting very close to fabric and stitching, and it really helps protect your lace. And I'm just trimming off that seam allowance very carefully right as close to the stitching as I can get, just like that. And I'm going to remove this too. And so that's all it takes to create a window. Now also keep in mind, if you wanted to, you could make these shield shapes windows on the pattern. If you're following the instructions and you're adding embroidery, our embroidery went in each of these. You can do machine embroidery or hand embroidery, or you can set a piece of organza or a piece of Pentuck fabric and use this as your window as well. And even this can be your window. So that's our segment on lace windows. Thanks so much for joining us, and again, thank you so much to La Sewista for participating in our heirloom sewing blog.